Yo, what's going on, guys? Haven't any thought of a name yet, Tano here. And these albums are not good. Alright, the jig is up. I'm not. For Tano, I do not like this album. I think part of my hatred for this album comes from the fact that, like, everyone loves it and it's been in everyone else's lists. So the contrarian in me is like, I want to not like this thing. Why is my hair like that? There we go. I don't have a massive forehead. But yeah, um, where do I start with this thing? The funny thing is, if you've seen my other albums video, you'll know that I was going to include Quaranta, which would have been crazy for Danny Brown to be on the best and worst albums of the year lists. Um, Let me get a drink. But this, I mean, viewers of this channel will know. Oh, viewers of this channel will know that I'm not crazy into experimental music. Sorry, I need gum to like talk properly. I'm roasting in this final, by the way, but yeah, it's not just the fact that it's experimental hip hop though, because there are quite a lot of experimental leaning rap projects that I have enjoyed. You know, Injury Reserve, self-titled, Vince Staples' Big Fish Theory, Kanye West Yeezus. That's some of my favorite rap albums in general. Like, genuinely, they would all be in maybe my like top 50 for the 2010s. Um, of those records, but this one takes the experimentation a bit too far to the point where I hate to say this because like it'll make me sound so out of touch and you'll click off immediately, but it just makes it sound like noise to me. Like there's a lot of distortion and a lot of stuff on here. I can't actually praise the wordplay and lyricism of both artists, Danny Brown especially, on here. The issue is you need to go into Genius to understand these lyrics because the vocals are all mixed like shit. Like, they achieved what they were going for, I can say that much. They did scare the hoes with this one. I guess I am just a hoe for not liking this album. Um, I'll tell you this, it was a fun listen. It wasn't like an album that you're gonna have a bad time listening to or anything. It's just you're not going to be like wanting to come back to it, and I really seriously don't understand why so many people love this record. Because I feel like there's better experimental hip hop to go to than this, and then there's also music for mainstream audiences that just hits harder than this record does. Um, so yeah, not very strong. Yeah, they managed to scare the hose. I believe they recorded it all on some like old crappy drum machine thing, and you can kind of hear that because the songs on here that aren't really there isn't really much versatility. Um, which that isn't necessarily like inherently a bad thing because you know there's some very cohesive records that were some of my favorites of last year. I mean, when you look at my top 10 list, you had something like The Patience, Mick Jenkins. It took me ages to think there because I scripted these videos so long ago, but you had The Patience by Mick Jenkins, which is a very like cohesive record that doesn't really change up all that much, but it's great. I just, you know, it's the energy on here is undeniable. It is a very energetic record. Um, Lyrically, I find both Danny Brown and JPEG Mafia to be very charismatic with a lot of witty wordplay and clever punchlines and stuff like that. I just believe that this is a case of people liking it just because it's experimental. and the experimentation doesn't actually land a lot of the time. Now, I do actually believe that after this project, Trippie Redd went on to have a pretty decent 2023. I still haven't listened to like the part two to that EP that he did. What was it, like Saint Michelle or something? But I find that to be really good. And A Love Letter to You 5, I think, was a pretty solid record as well. Even if I haven't really gone back to it all that much. That's the thing with Trippie. I feel as if he's a very up and down artist. Like one moment you're getting a project like, Life's a Trip, or like a Love Letter to You 5 or whatever, that is actually really solid, and then the next minute you're getting something like this. Like, um, I mean, it's no surprise that people didn't like this. This was the real sort of first major rap release of last year, um, which wasn't really a great sign for what was to come. It was the first record last year, I believe, to do the whole like 25 song project thing. Every song pretty much has a feature. Like, thinking off the top of my head, I couldn't really name a single solo song off this album. But I feel like this project kind of is misleading because it starts off actually quite promising. The first two songs are actually pretty strong. I believe it's the title track or something. The intro is like the best song on the whole project. And then you have the Chief Keef track, which oddly enough was taken off streaming, and it's like that's one of the best songs and one of the few redeemable songs on the album. I don't know why it was taken off. Probably like a sample clearance issue or something. But then after that, things quickly go downhill, and there's literally like three more good songs left on the album, which when the album's like 25 songs long and there's only five good ones, it's a struggle to get through. Messy, incoherent mess. Really. I mean, the outro on here, the Kodak Black track, that one's really nice. DaBaby makes a surprisingly good appearance. And what was the other one I liked? Um, Nightcrawler with Juice WRLD is one of the better posthumous Juice WRLD releases. I mean, to be honest, it feels like a Juice WRLD song. I'm pretty sure it was like a Juice WRLD leak that Trippie just like hopped on, and Trippie's the worst part of that song. But this album is downright obnoxious all the way throughout. I know that going back to the record, the whoever it was that mixed and mastered it has like remixed it and fixed the mixing. I haven't really listened to this project since it came out. Like, for the other top 10 lists, I like listened to the album or the song or whatever leading up to it. The songs I was able to do it right before. Albums obviously wasn't so easy to do that, so my hair's making me look like I've got a massive forehead. What's going on? But obviously the albums, it wasn't as easy to do that, so the best albums I listened to in the week leading up to the video. And then this video I've not really re-listened. I've like re-listened to some of the worst tracks to sort of remember them, but yeah. So this video probably going to be worse than all the other ones. Because I put zero effort into this. Here, I've admitted to not putting in effort, so you can't say that these videos are low effort. No, I'm playing. Where was I going? But yeah, you've got some really awful songs on here. A few that come to mind. You've got bloody Toilet Water with Ski Master Slump God, which the title makes sense, to be fair, with the quality of the song. Am I right? Biggest Bird with Summers is a mess. You've got, oddly enough, like a Swag Like Ohio remix on here. Which I don't think we really needed, to be honest. I can tell you it's not the worst Ohio meme song, to be fair. I can tell you that much. Like, I'd rather listen to that than CG5 any day, but, like, of course you're going to beat CG5. What else is there on here? Rob49 makes an appearance on a pretty bad song. I can't even remember what it's called. Lil Baby shits the bed on both of his performances on here. Because the song with him and Future is really good, and then up until his verse, and then his verse comes in, it's like offbeat, horribly mixed rubbish. Crazy Train, Travis, I was looking forward to that because despite a shaky last couple years, 2022 was a really good year for Travis features. Like, literally the month before we got Crazy Train, we got Open Arms, which might be his best feature verse, like, ever, in my opinion. Like, that song is so good. One of the best songs off SOS, in my opinion. You also had features like... What else did you do? You also had features like Down in Atlanta, which was a fun song, but nah. Crazy Train, he doesn't really do anything for me. I mean, I'm not a crazy trap metal guy anyway. You'll know from the Pink Tape reaction. Pink Tape grew on me, by the way. Go check the album of the year, because I went and did, like, re-listen to the entire Uzi discography, and Pink Tape grew on me. But despite that, I don't like Crazy Train still. But yeah, it's just... It's not a good album. Like, maybe the worst Trippy album. I'm glad that he's been putting out better stuff since this, though. Because with that, I felt like he was on a bit of a dodgy run. And that it was kind of like the downfall of Trippy. Like, you got Pegasus, which I believe was an overhated record. Like, it was pretty decent, actually. I think there was a lot of good songs on it. But then you got the Pegasus Deluxe, which was, like, really bad. Trip at Night was a pretty boring Rage album. Then you got this, which... the worst album in his career so far. So I'm glad that he sort of picked it up from here, because if this was the standard from Trippy's music moving forward, I'd be really worried. This is probably the album on this list that I have the least to say about that will be new content. Because I believe the was it the Double XL ranking where I just went in on La Tyler? These videos were so long ago, like, I can barely remember what I was doing in last week's video, let alone this. But, yeah. Pretty much take all the criticisms I had of La Tyler before and stretch it into, like, a half-hour project, but I listened to the deluxe project instead, so it's, like, closer to 50 minutes, I believe. I can't even, like, name a song on here like that. Like, genuinely, I've just repressed this album in my mind so much, but yeah, it's just the same shit you'd expect from La Tyler. Occasionally funny lyrics, but, like, his voice is so hard to get into, as well as his offbeat rapping style. I don't know why offbeat rapping has become such a trend in rap music. Like, genuinely, what's the appeal? I mean, I believe that rappers rap on beat for a reason, It's just basic music theory. Why is my hair sticking up so much? My hair's ruining this video. That offbeat rapping style will never be for me. Like, you'll find out later on in the list, like, the majority of these albums, I take issue with offbeat. rapping. Like, genuinely, I had to, like, make this list different. Like, technically, this isn't my official 10 worst or whatever, because the entire 10 worst could have just been, like, Detroit rap albums. In Florida rap albums with the offbeat rapping style, because I can't stand it. But I figured that would be boring, so that's why albums like Scaring the Hose and Mansion Music are on here, because in actuality, those two albums, despite Mansion Music only being like a 5 from 25 track list, like, they're like a cut above the shit we're way to get into. This record genuinely caused me pain. It was bad. I really didn't like it. Whatever. Get out of here. Let's move on. Okay, another one that I've not listened to in a while, because I only listened to it once. This is one that when I said, this isn't my actual top 10, this would have been an regardless. It's just like I get a lot of people resonate with NF's music for like mental health reasons and shit. So I feel bad for having this on here, but fuck, this album is corny. Like, it is so corny. Like, people who call like Logic and Joyner Lucas corny would have a field day listening to this shit. Like, you know what I mean? Like, this is actually awful. You know, it's got every stereotype of what tends to make white rappers bad typically. Like, you've got the want to be Eminem fast rapping on here. You've got overblown production, overblown lyrics. Like, this almost feels like if you took an instrumental version of this album and told me it was the instrumental version of an AJR album, I wouldn't have been surprised. Like, it is so overblown and so ridiculous at times. Yeah, also so gimmicky. I can't remember what the song's called. I think it may be the title track. No, it might not be. I don't know. But it does this thing where it's like one plucked note and then he raps, and then another plucked note and then he raps, and it's like, stop. You know what I mean? I can't stand that shit. Get out of here. The song, what's it called? It's like Mama or Mother or something. That song's actually really nice and heartfelt. And the Corday verse on here is pretty decent, but other than that, you're not gonna get much. This was my first NF project, and I don't really see myself listening for more because it's just not for me, you know. I prefer music that isn't like this. Like, I don't want to say that it's like fake or corny or bad or whatever, because I know it is very mental health driven music and I don't want to contribute to like harassment or anything, because if you listen to this album for your mental health, like, I don't blame you. This is just my list. Like, that's at the end of the day, if you like these records, like, fuck my opinion, but you know what I mean? Like, I'm not gonna sit and tell you that you're a bad person because you listen to this. Like, I'm just shitting on the music. Yeah, this is just like a funny video, you know what I mean? This isn't like, oh, you're a bad person if you like Hope by NF. I just I don't tend to like angry white man rappers that want to sound like Eminem, because I mean, truth be told, I don't like Eminem that much in the first place, but like, it doesn't tend to be a good sign. Like, I see a rapper's influenced by Eminem and it's like, okay, all right. I'm double taking listening to the music, you know what I mean? Like, it's like, you know what I mean? NF is just like if you took Luke Gone, put it over AGR production and made it about mental health. And that's not for me, unfortunately. Um, yeah. I've ran out of shit to say. I'm just so tired. Get the end of year list videos out the way. on album reactions because they're the only videos I like doing. No, I'm joking. I'm joking. This is another one that I feel really bad for disliking because Wyatt James is an artist that, like, I believe has less than 100k monthly listeners or something like that. Like, this guy's, like, underground, and I feel really bad for that because, you know, I don't want to be that guy that makes an underground artist stop rapping because I, like, bullied them. You know what I mean? I'm gonna try not to bully it on here because I'm not that type of guy. Why do you think I've been so long to do these lists? I don't like being negative. But yeah. This album, it has its redeeming qualities, I guess. Like, this lighting is making me look like a fucking eyebrows. This video's been more about how horrible I look in this lighting with my hair and everything than it has been about the worst rap albums of 2023. But there is redeeming qualities. I believe that Wyatt is actually a really good producer on here. What's it called? I think it's called like New Level or something. Genuinely has one of my favorite beats from last year. It's just that Wyatt's rapping kind of ruins these beats. This album shows Wyatt James with a lot of potential as a producer, but also not so great as a rapper. Um, he tends to have this issue on here where he just crams so many syllables into a line. Like, it just feels like well produced spoken word that's all about the same thing. That's so mean. And every song on here is like 5 minutes long as well. Like, and you've got some very Kendrick Lamar esque song titles. I believe he said that Kendrick is a big influence to his music because that's actually how I discovered this record. Was before I like quit TikTok. This guy wouldn't leave me alone on my For You page. It was just scroll, scroll, scroll. Oh, that's Wyatt James. Scroll, scroll, scroll. Oh, check out New Level. Check out my music. Check out my music. Like, no. That's how I discovered it, and so I went and listened to it. But yeah, it's not for me again. Um, I want to see Wyatt improve because he is such a small artist. Like, I don't think like anyone in this. Well, I don't think 9 of these 10 inclusions should lose their careers or anything. Like, at the end of the day, I don't like it, but other people do. I just want to see him improve his rapping on his next project because I do feel like Wyatt James does have a lot of potential as a producer. There's some really great, soulful production on here. Quite grandiose at times. Um, I just wish that the rapping and the vocals to accompany this were better because then again he also gets pretty much outshone by like everyone featured on here, despite the fact that I know none of these people. Like, they all outshine Wyatt. So it's a shame because he is a small artist, so I feel really bad for like bullying him. But yeah, I can't get what offbeat rapping. You know what I mean? You know what I mean? Okay, this is the first of many Detroit albums on here. I had to include at least a few because fuck me, man. This Detroit scene has caused me so much horrible first listens this year that it's like insane. For the first one, we've got Ganger by V's. This one isn't the worst one on here because, well, for a Detroit album, the production's actually pretty decent. V's is a name that I've had shoved down my throat by so many people. Like, it's like anytime I go on somewhere and talk about my music opinions, there will be someone that replies to me and goes like, "Oh, you like blank artists? You'll probably like V's then." or whatever. And it's like I don't feel like these are like sincere things, like because it doesn't sound like whatever people are comparing it to. How I describe these is like take Lucky's production and then have like a guy who's slurred out and mumbling his way through sentences, rapping off beat over it. Like genuinely, like some of the production on here is actually quite interesting. You do hear that Lucky influence. I do believe that he was on the Lucky album this year. So you do hear that Lucky influence. Also a bit of Chief Keef in the production as well. But Visa's rapping style is just so dull. And a lot of the time I feel like a lot of people like Detroit rappers for their lyricism and their bars and whatever, like wordplay pretty much is what like 90% of Detroit rappers are known for. Like every time you think of these Detroit rappers who rap off beat, you know, Babyface Ray or Babytron or fucking all the babies. There's so many of them. Sada Baby, Skilla Baby. There's so many baby rappers in Detroit. Every time people tend to bring them up, it tends to be their wordplay. The wordplay on here is like fine. Like V's is just not that interesting to me as an artist on here. Take this album and make an instrumental version that has the Lil Uzi verses on the remix of the big song on here. I can't remember what it's called. Is it GOMD? But I just wish Michigan Boy Boat never happened, because then maybe these rappers would have stayed underground and I wouldn't have to listen to them. Take everything wrong with the V's project and yeah, make it like 6 songs longer or something. Why is this thing like 26 songs? It's so dull. Babytron has got like no versatility as an artist. It's the same production, same flows, same bars, same delivery. Overall, 26 of these songs, and it gets so boring. Like, no joke, this thing was one of the most painful first listens I've ever had to an album. Genuinely, when I first listened to this, I was pondering whether this was the worst album I'd ever listened to. As you can tell by the fact that it's not the highest on here, it wasn't the most awful album I've ever listened to. Far from it, actually. But yeah, I don't understand why artists feel the need to make their albums this long. Like, if you have absolutely no versatility or interesting qualities to yourself, like, at least have the self-awareness to make your project like 15 songs. Like, I know a lot of people will be like, oh, TikTok attention span, TikTok attention span. No, I mean, maybe if you did something to hold my attention, I'd have an attention span. Ooh. But yeah, I can't stand it. And I've listened through the other stuff that Babytron put out this year, and there is some actual, like, interesting qualities to some of these projects. Like, don't get me wrong, there's not a Babytron album that I like not a single one. And he is one of my least favourite rappers who came out in the last few years. But, like, there are some genuinely interesting concepts in his songs. Like, what was it? The one with all it's either the alphabet or it's got like all the numbers or something. Off the other album he did this year, that one is actually pretty decent. And his Out on Bond EP was pretty boring, but it actually had some entertaining lyrics here and there. This doesn't have any of that. You've got a decent Cordae verse, and I genuinely can't remember anything else about this project. I feel like Cordae is like a blessing and a curse. Like his albums are good, but anytime he's featured on one, he'll be like the only good part of it. Like, my man is consistently dropping decent features on horrible albums. Like, this isn't a slight to Corday or anything, because he tends to be good, but, like, you know, he's been on that horrible Logic album, the horrible NF album, this album, you know, he's been on so much. But, yeah. Just rap on beat, innit? You know what I mean? If he rapped on beat, it wouldn't be so bad, because then it would just be boring, but it wouldn't be, like, as fatiguing and soul-destroying as this project is. But, to be fair, this is the last album where offbeat rapping's an issue. Top 3, all on beat. They're just bad for different reasons. Who saw this one coming? I mean, all the signs were there. This was awful. I knew about these guys before this year, because viewers of this channel will know that I watched CDTV Productions back in the day. One of the influences behind me making these videos. That's why I take all my concepts from him and video ideas. But I knew he'd sort of had issues with Tom in the past. So I went and listened to this thing, and yeah. My channel has a negative dislike ratio because of the video where I reacted to this. that is such a crazy thing. But, like, genuinely, it's crazy. Like, it's actually crazy. No, it's not negative, but I believe it's below 50% just because of this video. Because if you look at any of my other videos, they tend to, like, either not pull any likes or they'll pull, like, 1 or 2. Like, I don't know anyone's disliked my video before, but this one, like, it was a blessing and a curse, because it was my most popular video of last year. I believe that my reaction video for this got, like, I remember at one point, it was, like, nearly 300 views, which, crazy. For this channel, anyway. Like, I know Mr. Beast, like, pulls, like, 100 million times that. Like, but, like, for me, that was crazy. But, like, also, I got, like, dislike bombed and everything. And I also peaked with that video, I reckon. Because since I've not made a video as good, in my opinion. But, yeah. It was fun. It was fun, I'll give it that. There's so much funny bad songs on here. But, yeah. I mean, you can tell by the fact that I got dislike bombed on a reaction where I wasn't even talking about the politics of the album, what kind of people like this. Because that's the thing. I'd get it if I was, like, shitting on the politics all throughout, but I'd, like, shit on it, like, when they were being hateful. But the majority of the video was just about how the album sounded. I know this has turned into a bit of a rant, but yeah. I dropped that reaction. I believe My Way from this album was on the worst songs list. I had a field day choosing for that. Like, genuinely, I had, like, so much to choose from. Like, virtually any song on here could have been on there. I mean, this record, it features some of the most insane people as well. You know, you've got fucking Social Repos, who I still don't know who that is, but, like, he ruined my life. I believe he sang, like, Skibbity Toilets or something. Because, again, before I deleted TikTok on my TikTok page, like, he was standing on a park bench singing Skibbity music. And I'd rather listen to Skibbity music than this. But yeah, you've got him, Mad Child makes an appearance. Oddly enough, you've also got Project Pat on here, which is crazy. But yeah, this thing's terrible. It's just a load of right-wing pandering with some of the most corny, horrible-sounding music accompanying it. Like, if it was just right-wing pandering, I wouldn't have spoken about it, because that's not what this channel is. This is a music channel, not a politics channel. But you know what I mean? I also feel bad because like these sorts of videos is what they want at platforms then. But it was the music as well. Like the music on here is a problem just as much as the sound is. Like no, just as much as the lyrics are. Like this thing is so bad. There's so much laughably bad choruses on here. Virtually any song that starts with a guitar on this project, you know what you're getting. It's awful. Like it's like Save Our America. What's it? Like Freedom of Speech or something? That's like one of the worst songs I've ever heard. My Way, horrible. The outro on here, I believe, is like it literally starts with a lyric that's like it's okay to be racist or something, which is crazy. You've got the intro, American Flags, which is absolutely like insane. Like that one I can actually get a bit of enjoyment out of because it is so funny to me. Like American flags, red, white, blue is something I've been laughing at all year. What's it called? It's like Your America or something. That one's horrible. The Dax song on here is, well, if you can imagine a song with Tom McDonald, Adam Calhoun, and Dax. Oh yeah, I forgot to mention Adam Calhoun. He's on here on every song, dropping forgettable verse after forgettable verse, but the only memorable part is when he disses trans people, inevitably. Because that's the thing, these guys work off a track list. Like, I don't normally like political music, but like, at least with other political artists, it's like they'll talk about a different topic on each song. This thing is just, I hate trans people, racism's okay, gay people should die, make America great again. That clip, if that clip ever gets taken out of context, my career is done. This thing is just, yeah, I mean, the Dax song is terrible. The chorus is literally like, white people shed. And then you listen to the things that white people do. And then later on in the song, it's like black people shit. And it's like, oh my god, this thing's actually crazy. There is one actual song on here that I do like. I don't go back to it because fuck these guys, but what's it called? He like rips off ASAP Rocky. That one's alright. I mean, this thing is just, it's the collab album of the century, innit? It's the sequel that is better than the original or whatever. But yeah, I mean, I'll see you next year when these guys are back with Brave 3. But to be honest, this next year, like the rest of 2024, I want to avoid covering these types of albums. Like, I'm not going to be focusing on these right-wing pandering rap albums because it's just genuinely so uninteresting, so hateful, and it leads you to deal with some of the worst fan bases. Alright, here come the takes saying that I think Tom McDonald's better than Ken Carson, so I'm gonna get doxxed. Watch the best rap albums list if you're an Opium fan, because it's not all bad. This thing, oh my god. I think I've developed tinnitus from this record. Like, no joke. Like, this thing is, like, permanently damaged my hearing. It is so bad. The mixing on here is genuinely pretty much my entire issue with the album is how awfully it is mixed. Like, every single song on here is so compressed and so distorted that you can't hear anything that's going on. And every song starts to mesh into one. The song Loser on here, or whatever it's called, is probably one of the worst songs I've ever listened to, I'm not gonna lie. Like, the day this came out, there was so much good releases. Well, looking back, there weren't, but there were so much releases that were interesting. You know, you had Westside Gunn, Offset, and all that. I'd listened to Westside Gunn, and I went and listened to this, like, right after. But I had to go and take a lie down for the rest of the day and couldn't listen to the rest of the music until Saturday because of how much this album fucked my head up. Like, it hurts so bad. Like, there is one redeeming quality on here, and that's Destroy Lonely's features on, what's it called? Paranoid Singapore. There's one with him and Uzi on it. Uzi's verse, I think, was decent. They sort of like trade bars. But I wouldn't take so much issue with it if it was just Karen Carson ripping off Playboi Carti. But this record is original. It's been influential because every Rage release I've heard since this is trying to sound like this. But holy fuck, this thing gives you a headache. And not in a good way. I mean, I don't imagine you'd get a good headache, but it's not like it's worth listening through it for the headache, because, like, if you listen to this thing, you're gonna get a migraine and also get no enjoyable music on the way. I mean, with how distorted and how compressed it is, it should be a hype project, but Ken Carson sounds comatose on every single one of his performances on here. Like, genuinely, some of the only interesting performances he brings to the table here are ones where he does the fucking Carti deep voice. I can't even remember what they're called. I mean, there's the ones like, what the fuck my butt, what the fuck gonna cut, what the fuck my wrist. That one, he's sounding like Carti on. There is actually, the final song on here, I Need You, is like a welcome break from the repeated thrashing of your brain with this thing, but it's not enough to save what is ultimately a headache-inducing, obnoxious, awful, boring, lazy, comatose, unoriginal mess. Fuck, I went in. Everyone else loves this album, and they're all gonna come and comment, oh, you aren't in touch with modern rap. You aren't in touch with modern rap. You're stuck in 2014, you're a trap old head. But, you know what I mean? I actually believe that the other members of Opium had a step up this year. You know, the singles Carti's been releasing recently, way better than anything on Whole Lotta Red. You know, the song 2024 I really liked. That was his comeback single. I really liked that he was sort of returning to that style. Backrooms is a banger. Hood by Ya is a pretty decent song. And then you've got the Homicide Gang album, which, fuck Homicide Gang, but that album was actually a step up from the 2022 project. And you can watch my best rap albums video if you want to find out about my opinions on Lone's 2023. Nah, Lone genuinely dropped one of my favourite albums of the year. So it was like, everyone in Opium stepped up. I actually believe this is a step down. Like, I was a bit of a defender of X. I hated it, but I didn't believe it was the zero that a lot of people were saying it was. Up until No Stylist grew on me, I actually believe that X was the better of the two projects because it had energy. You know, there are actually some songs on there that I go back to. I like Gems, I like MDMA, I like the freestyles. This one, There's Nothing, I come back to. I come back to one of the Lone songs, but I can't even remember what it's called. Like, it's either Paranoid or Singapore, but I can't remember which one because it's been that long since I listened to it. But yeah, this thing, I don't get it. I don't get the appeal. And I know that makes me sound like an old head, and I know that makes me sound out of touch, but I wanted to like this thing. I wanted to like it. I mean, I want to like every project I listen to. I wouldn't listen to an album if I didn't want to like it. But whatever. On to number one. Man makes boring plug-in B song, repeats it 25 times. I can't name a single song off this project. I actually had to put my phone down while I was listening to it and listen to the music in the background while doing something else to try not to sleep in the middle of the day. Fuck, this was boring. That's it. It's just offbeat, inconsistent mess. It's mixed poorly with bad production that doesn't sound interesting. It actually gets really repetitive by about track 4, and then you've got like 21 more to go with the same sound. Like, this album's kind of like the equivalent of a Swans album in rap form. It's just so boring. It's better than a Swans album, at least, because you can stare at the wall and pretend it's not playing. I mean, this album is probably the easiest to listen to on this entire list, because you can just stare at a wall and pretend it's not there. But when you're actually focused on the music, this thing is a painful listen. Alright, that's my worst albums of 2023. I can finally move on from these NDO list videos. I imagine the rest of the month I'll just be taking it easy, you know, reacting if there's a decent project that comes out. You know, there's the Benny the Butcher project I'll probably react to. I don't know. But I'll catch you in the next video. If you've watched all the way through, thank you for watching. 2023 was a year for rap music. Let's hope 2024 is better. I mean, already we've had some pretty decent releases. But yeah, I will catch you in the next one. Thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed, and goodbye.